Some news coming in. The bulldozers now are set to roll in Delhi's New Friends colony is what we are learning. These are pictures that we are getting of the kind of bandobast that is being done, given the anticipation that there could be some problem vis-a-vis law and order. Yesterday, we saw the bulldozers getting rolled in Shaheen Bagh, though there was very little demolition work that was carried out. These are pictures coming in from Delhi's New Friends colony. I'll be going across to my colleague Amit Bhardwaj also for more on that. But visuals of some of the workers there, in fact, right now, we'll just try and get more clarity on what is happening. But the bulldozers are going to be rolled in to demolish illegal structures and encroachments. Amit Bhardwaj is there. Amit, tell us what's going on as we speak. What are the bulldozers going to do? And what are the kind of encroachments that you see really around you that is going to be demolished?
Sneha, I'll just request my video colleague to show you the visuals right now, what's happening on the ground. We are near the NFC Gurdwara area and you could see the SDMC officials, doing away with the temporary encroachments done alongside the road in NFC area. Now these are the SDMC South MCD officials who are carrying out this anti-encroachment drive. And on the other side of the road, while these officials are demolishing the temporary encroachments, what you see is the SDMC is also carrying these trucks in order to carry the temporary encroachments which will be removed today. On the other side of the road, the bulldozer of SDMC is once again in action. It's rolling on the roads of the NFC area. The drive started near the NFC Gurdwara area. And in order to make sure that law and order situation is maintained in this particular locality, yesterday we had seen that during the anti-encroachment drive in Shaheen Bagh, there were protests being staged by the locals. But today, to make sure that law and order situation is maintained in this particular area, what you see is that paramilitary force has been deployed in big numbers. Remember, yesterday the Congress party workers along with the Aam Aadmi Party workers and Aam Aadmi Party MLA Amanatullah Khan were protesting while the anti-encroachment drive was being carried out in Shaheen Bagh. But today, there's so far no protest by the locals, so far no political leader have reached the ground, and they are, the SDMC officials are carrying out the anti-encroachment drive. The drive had just begun in the NFC area, the New Friends colony area of South Delhi. And what we see on the ground, along with the South MCD's bulldozers, paramilitary forces, as well as Delhi police has been deployed in big numbers, and the truck is rolling into NFC area, the bulldozer is rolling into the NFC area, and the SDMC officials are carrying out, removing the temporary encroachments alongside the road in NFC.
Yesterday, the MCD pretty much had an egg on its face, going to Shaheen Bagh to carry out a demolition drive when there were no illegal encroachments in that sense. What about today?
The illegal encroachment, as you can see, the cars are already not there. This area is said to be
Amit, I was asking you, yesterday the MCD essentially had egg on its face with nothing to be demolished in Shaheen Bagh. The residents also said that we are regularly giving these warnings to those who are setting up these encroachments. The MLA of Okhla himself said that we've been doing it on a regular basis. What about today?
Well, Sneha, absolutely right. There was a lot of confusion as well in Shaheen Bagh area when the South MCD officials has reached the ground. And there were a lot of interpretations of that drive as well, that this particular bulldozer was brought in the Shaheen Bagh area as well. But what we saw yesterday, that this bulldozer could not, even though being on duty, if we talk in terms of, if we hypothetically think that it's a human being, despite being on duty, it could not do the action that was required to be done yesterday, because the locals were out there in big numbers. They were themselves removing their encroachments, whatever was right there on the ground. And you also had the AAP Party MLA Amanatullah Khan on the ground, fighting out a street battle against the South MCD officials and registering the protest. But today, the situation is slightly different from what happened in Shaheen Bagh yesterday. The South MCD officials are continuously, doing away with the temporary encroachments along the roadside, and continuously they are, taking majorly so far what they have done away with the street vents that you usually see in the national capital along the roadsides. So the drive has just begun right now, Sneha. As the drive proceeds in this road, I'll just give you an information that as the road proceeds further from here towards NFC, it gets narrower and it gets crowded. So there would be more street vents and outlets that might be demolished and done away with by the South MCD officials. But the drive had just begun, and they are just doing away with the temporary encroachments along the roadside, majorly the street vents. Over to you, Sneha.
It has become extremely political, but
पब्लिक को कोई ऑब्जेक्शन नहीं है, बिना मतलब कर रहे हैं।
वही आपसे कह रहा हूँ कि पब्लिक को कोई ऑब्जेक्शन नहीं है, जो बचा हुआ था वही तो हटा रहे हैं।
बचे हुए अगर नहीं हटा रहे, थोड़ा बहुत है, हल्का फुल्का सब लोगों ने अपने हटा लिया। आप देखो वहाँ पर, आप देखो वहाँ पर।
आप कार्रवाई रोको ना।
देखो 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 जल्दी आप मुकेश अहलावत को आम आदमी पार्टी के जाने विधायक है, वो जब बुलडोजर के साथ आए थे, मैं अपनी गाड़ी में आपके साथ।
Amit Bhardwaj continues to be with us. Amit, this matter is becoming extremely political, though we've seen, from what you tell us, a bit of toning down of the rhetoric also from the opposition, isn't it?
Well, Sneha, this anti-encroachment drive in the national capital is no more about the regular, operation by the civic bodies. It is clearly a political war between the Bharatiya Janata Party, Aam Aadmi Party, and the Congress Party. On one side, the Bharatiya Janata Party and its MCDs, because BJP is in power in the MCD, is saying that these are regular activities that are being carried out by the MCD officials on the ground. These are regular anti-encroachment drives. But the opposition is asking a question that if there are encroachments on the streets and roads of the national capital, then why was the MCD not working on the ground? Why did the MCD not put its foot on the ground for the past 15 years? That is a pertinent question being asked by the opposition parties, including the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress Party. And Sneha, remember, what we know for a matter of fact, that all three MCDs have been in a way dissolved, and a new MCD law was passed by the parliament, and now there's a new MCD, or rather unified MCD in place. And despite that, what you see on the ground is South MCD, EDMC and the North MCD working on the ground, and suddenly they have got into activist mode and clearing out encroachments like this one. And these visuals are becoming a regular affair in the national capital these days. So the opposition parties are right in their place to raise those questions against the BJP as to why these bulldozers are working on these streets. What is the reason for triggering this particular drive? Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress is alleging that this is being done in order to garner some support and vote towards the BJP as and when the elections would happen, because the opposition says the BJP has a lot of anti-incumbency against them. And you see what has been recovered so far from the ground. There's a vegetable vent that has been seized. There are vegetables that has been seized from the street vendors. So clearly there would be questions as to what is the motive of these anti-encroachment drives. What is the MCD getting out of these anti-encroachment drives? What we'll try to do is we'll also try to cut across to the MCD officials, try to take their version as and when we get hold of these senior officials. But right now on the ground, what you see is the junior officials working on the ground, clearing away the temporary encroachments, and along with that, Delhi police and the paramilitary forces assisting them in maintenance of the law and order situation on the ground.
Amit, that of course has to be ensured by the Delhi police as well, which is cooperating with the MCD, given the situation that we saw in Jahangirpuri, not so much in Shaheen Bagh, though there were crowds that had gathered. Residents were out in the streets yesterday in Shaheen Bagh. What are the residents essentially telling you today, Amit?
Sneha, today, so far, I just, as I told a couple of minutes back, the anti-encroachment drive in this particular locality has just begun. So what they have been able to clear so far is the street vents which were put alongside the roads. Now, as this road proceeds further, on the other side, as you see the bulldozer placed on the other side, this road becomes little narrower, and the density, population density also increases on the other side of the road. So there would be whatever protest or the reactions that you're talking about, we will be able to get it the moment these bulldozers roll in towards NFC, towards much crowded areas of NFC. But I'll try to cut across to the locals to also understand what is their reaction, because yesterday we had seen really angry reactions from the residents of Shaheen Bagh, from the residents, saying and opposing the entire activity. आप मैम यहीं रहती हैं? झुग्गी में रहती हैं। ये एनक्रोचमेंट हटा रही है एमसीडी, इसके बारे में जानकारी थी आप लोगों को?
हाँ, बोल तो रहे थे जो कि हटाएंगे।
जी, तो क्या राय है आपको, क्या लगता है क्यों किया जा रहा है ये कार्रवाई?
अब ये तो मुझे नहीं मालूम, सड़क शायद घेर लेते हैं या ऐसे कर रहे हैं। आज झुग्गी में तो ज्यादातर बोलने बांग्लादेशी हैं, इसलिए तोड़ेंगे।
कौन रहते हैं?
बांग्लादेशी सब।
अच्छा,
उसके चक्कर में शायद तोड़ेंगे या क्या?
तो ये आपको लगता है सही हो रहा है इस तरह से जो हटाया जा रहा है, एनक्रोचमेंट हटाया जा रहा है, अतिक्रमण हटाया जा रहा है?
हाँ, बिल्कुल सही हो रहा है
जी। So, as these bulldozers will move forward, Sneha, will get more clear reactions of the local residents, because remember, these are the areas, parts of NFC where you have a sort of a posh locality of the New Friends colony. But as the road moves forward, the population density increases, and there would be more encroachments on this particular road. And that would be the point where one could get the right and real reaction of this particular anti-encroachment drive being carried out by the civic body officials in the South Delhi. But as of now, what they have cleared on the ground so far is are the street vents put alongside the roadside, the vegetable vents put along the roadside, and a couple of tea stalls or momo stalls, fast food stalls that you usually spot along the roadside in the national capital. Sir, आप यहाँ के लोकल रेजिडेंट हैं, जिस तरह का एंटी एनक्रोचमेंट ड्राइव चल रहा है उस पर क्या राय है आपकी?
देखिए, ये हटाना, इतना तामझाम करके हटाना इतना सॉल्यूशन नहीं है। टैक्स पेयर का पैसे को वेस्ट करना है। आप अगर हटाना था तो छोटे मोटे उससे ही हट जाता। कूड़ा बिनते फिर रहे हैं यहाँ पे ये लोग, इतना माहौल डर का बना दिया है। लोग बेचारे डरे सहमे हुए हैं यहाँ पे। इतना हंगामा क्यों, इतनी फोर्स क्यों? अरे आपको ये देखिए, दिखाइए, ये हटाने के लिए इतना तामझाम करेंगे आप?
क्या नाम है सर आपका?
मेरा नाम सैयद फौजुल अजीम है।
आप कांग्रेस के वर्कर हैं?
यस, बिल्कुल 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 बिल्कुल।
कांग्रेस पार्टी की तरफ से बहुत प्रोटेस्ट हुआ था। आम आदमी पार्टी के विधायक अमानतुल्लाह खान भी ग्राउंड पे थे। क्या आज भी उस तरह का प्रदर्शन होने वाला है?
भाई देखिए, मुझे उनके बारे में तो नहीं पता, लेकिन मैं एज ए कांग्रेसी मैन मैं आके खड़ा हुआ हूँ, और जहाँ कहीं गलत लगेगा तो मैं उसके लिए बोलूंगा। ये मेरा दायित्व है, आवाम के लिए बोलना मेरा फर्ज है।
लोगों को डिटेन भी किया गया था, क्या वैसी स्थिति दोबारा आज होने वाली है?
इसके बारे में मैं नहीं कह सकता, मैं मौजूद हूँ।
विरोध करेंगे तो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर अपना काम करेगा।
देखिए, विरोध मैं उस बात के लिए करूंगा, कोई गलत अगर एक्शन हो रहा होगा तो उसके लिए विरोध। मुझे गलत अभी यहाँ पे लगा, जैसे बुजुर्ग महिलाएं या गांव के लोग बैठते आके, पीपल के नीचे कौन वो करता है?
So you have political activists and workers coming on the ground. They have started to come on the ground, and clearly, you just heard this particular Congress worker registering his support. And as I was telling you, Sneha, we have reached that particular point from where the density of this area, the population density of this area increases. So it'll be interesting to see as to what is going to happen from here. The bulldozer, meanwhile, is taking a U-turn. The action on the ground seems to be increasing. The bulldozer right there is in action. Sneha, you could see the bulldozer is demolishing the street when alongside the road in NFC right there on your screens. My colleague Ankit is trying to show you the visuals from the top angle. Right there you see the bulldozer is in action, is demolishing a street vendor shop, rather a street shop which was placed in the NFC area. So once again, yesterday the bulldozers had come out in Shaheen Bagh area. The locals were protesting, and the locals yesterday had decided that they will do away with the temporary encroachments in their area. But bulldozers had not gotten into action, real action yesterday. Today, Jahangirpuri-like action is being carried out by the South MCD bulldozers in the NFC area, and my colleague Ankit Khandelwal is trying to show you the visuals as to how things are happening on the ground. Remember, when the police officials had come here in the morning, they had said that the shopkeepers should remove the temporary encroachments being done by them. So the bulldozer is gotten into action, is doing away with the temporary establishments alongside the road in NFC. Sneha, that is the situation on the ground.
Right, that's the situation on the ground, as Amit is telling us, and pictures on your screen, viewers, are giving an idea about the drive that has started and is in fact, like Amit was telling us, right now removing an encroachment. It's a sweet shop is what Amit has told us. This is the New Friends colony area. This particular visual is from Mangolpuri is what we've been told. Pictures of the demolition drive that the MCD, Amit, promised to carry out till the 13th of May, after which they said it's going to be done and dusted with. It's routine. However, the timing of it is interesting. The manner in which it polarizes is also interesting. MCD elections round the corner. They were due last month, could not take place, but it's controlled by the BJP. The opposition obviously says this is propaganda.
Sneha, that is a pertinent question from the opposition side. You know, one cannot brush away those questions, because what opposition is constantly asking from the BJP. BJP has been in power in the MCD for the past 3 terms, and every encroachment that you see along the roadside, on the roadside, or on the public land in the national capital. Remember, all those establishments is proof of failure of the civic bodies in the national capital. Have the civic bodies worked on time, have acted on time? These temporary establishments along the roadside on the public property would not have been there on the ground in the first place. So when the opposition targets or trains its gun on the BJP, it is right in doing so. And the timing of these anti-encroachment drives is what is very interesting, because remember, the South MCD, the North MCD, the East MCD does not exist anymore. The MCDs have been unified already. The last date of existence of all the councillors and the mayors would be something around 18th of May. So the question that is being asked by the opposition parties is that what was the South MCD doing for all these years when it existed really on paper? Now that the MCDs have been unified, certainly you see its officials are in active mode, are in action mode. The South MCD mayor is in action mode. The chairmen are in action mode, and they are asking for demolition drives in their particular areas. Now remember, a couple of days back, Aam Aadmi Party had in fact labelled even bigger allegations. The Aam Aadmi Party and Congress have been alleging that these are extortion drives being carried out by the BJP-led MCD. But those are political allegations, and the political parties would indulge in such kind of allegation given the timing of these anti-encroachment drives. We'll also try to cut across to some of officials from the South MCD to get a perspective of to get a response on the allegations which are being put up by the opposition parties. But meanwhile, I'll also try to cut across to the locals here. Sir, आप यहीं के रहने वाले हैं? आप लोग यहाँ के रहने वाले?
ये जेसीबी है, ये क्यों चला रहे हैं? तो उनको बताया गया कि यहाँ पे जो परमानेंट स्ट्रक्चर है उसके लिए जेसीबी चल रही है, तो अगर वो हमारे कोई माहौल ख़राब ना हो, कोई बाधा ना आए, इसलिए हमने उनको थोड़ी देर डिटेन किया है।
क्या वो रुकावट डाल रहे थे आपकी कार्रवाई में किसी ने?
जी, वो आके बता रहे थे, इसलिए हमने, ताकि माहौल ख़राब ना हो, इसलिए हम जो अप्रोप्रिएट एक्शन है वो हमने किया उसके लिए।
तो अभी आपने उनको डिटेन किया है या?
जी जी, डिटेन किया।
हेलो हेलो।
Demolition drive in the national capital. This is the New Friends area colony of Delhi. On your screen right now, pictures from yesterday as well, where there was a drive being carried out at Delhi's Shaheen Bagh. As always, there is a Delhi police cooperating with the MCD, given that there could be a possible problem vis-a-vis the law and order situation in Delhi city. Given the sensitivities involved, bulldozers have been rolled in to put down encroachments and also illegal structures. On your screen right now, these are pictures from Delhi's Mangolpuri on the right side of your screen. Yesterday, residents are protesting at Shaheen Bagh. Many residents, including some of them speaking to my colleague Amit today, have been saying that what is the need to bring in bulldozers when small encroachments can be removed in any case even without the bulldozers. Yesterday, the residents of Shaheen Bagh said this is clearly to give a bad name to our locality. Today, the residents are saying that this is optics on the part of the MCD. Amit, in fact, continues to be with us. Amit, what next as far as the MCD is concerned? There was a great amount of speculation that the bulldozers are going to be rolled in fact, in Jasola Vihar also, and different other parts of the national capital. What more can you tell us?
Well, Sneha, anti-encroachment drive is being carried out in at least 4 zones of the South MCD and 1 zone of, the Mangolpuri area that you just mentioned, from where the visuals are also coming up. But as far as this NFC area anti-encroachment drive is concerned, the bulldozers and the police forces have just crossed the posh localities of the NFC, and now it is heading towards much narrower lanes where there could be, some sort of opposition from the locals that is being anticipated. But on the ground, these are the visuals you see. This is the MCD vehicle which has just confiscated the street vents that were placed alongside the roadside. And you see that's probably a tea stall or a fast food corner stall that has been taken up on the truck of the MCD. And again, yet again, temporary establishments which people put alongside the tea stalls usually in the national capital. So all this is being taken up by the locals. I see a couple of people waiting there right inside the park, and they are looking in sense of hopelessness. There's a sense of question on their mind, and they are continuously, trying to decipher as to what is happening here. So on the faces there are questions, and most of the people are trying to figure out as to what is happening in their localities. But there's divided opinion, Sneha, in this particular locality. We just spoke to a couple of people who are angry about the anti-encroachment drive, and there were others from that stretch where the bulldozers have just crossed, these vehicles have just crossed. They were saying that they are happy with the anti-encroachment drive. They are happy that MCD is finally acting on the ground. So there's divided opinion as far as this particular drive is concerned. And you see the demolition drive continues. But the timing is what is being questioned by the locals. And the timing and the way these anti-encroachment drives are being carried out is also questioned by the political workers and political parties in the national capital. आप लोग यहीं के रहने वाले हैं?
हाँ जी।
क्या नाम है आपका?
बिट्टू।
ये जो ड्राइव चल रहा है, अभी हटाया जा रहा है एनक्रोचमेंट, इस पे क्या कहना है आप लोगों को?
हमको कहना है गरीब को परेशान करने वाले
जी,
ये बहुत दिन पहले ही हटना था। ये अच्छा कर रहे हैं, बहुत ही अच्छा हो रहा है ये,
अच्छा हो रहा है।
बहुत अच्छा हो रहा है।
कुछ लोग कह रहे हैं गरीबों को परेशान किया जा रहा है। आप
ऐसे नहीं करे, ये थोड़ी थोड़ी जगह इसको समेट लेते हैं, फिर आपस में ठिया बना लेते हैं, फिर यहीं पे रहने लग जाते हैं। ये अच्छा हो रहा है कि ये इसको जायज हटाया जा रहा है।
कल शाहीन बाग में जो वहाँ के आम लोग रहने वाले हैं वो लोग विरोध प्रदर्शन में उतरे थे, आप लोग इसका समर्थन कर रहे हैं?
वो हिंदुस्तान में रहते ही नहीं है, वो मिनी पाकिस्तान है।
नहीं, ऐसा भारत के किसी इलाके के लिए ऐसी बात आपको नहीं करनी चाहिए। नहीं, संविधान है, वोटर आईडी है, भारत में वोट देने का अधिकार है, ऐसे कैसे कह सकते?
लेकिन हमने जब यूट्यूब पे सारा सुना है उन्होंने
ये गलत बात मत कीजिए। आपकी क्या राय है माता जी, ये जो हटाया जा रहा है? सो there are divided opinions on the ground, as I said, Sneha. There are a couple of people who are probably losing their livelihood, whose stalls are being demolished. They are saying that it is the poor who are being targeted, but there are others who also say that this anti-encroachment drive would actually do away with the inconvenience that were being caused because of the encroachment or taking over of the public land. And remember, what happens is when these encroachments happen, the roads become narrower. It is difficult for the people to cross their neighborhoods, their localities. But the intention of these drives is that is being questioned by the locals as well as the political parties. But today, a completely different picture from what we saw in Shaheen Bagh. Shaheen Bagh, you saw that people had gathered in big numbers, in large numbers, in order to protest against the anti-encroachment drive. But so far, the MCD officials and the bulldozers and the vehicles of the South MCD has not received a major resistance or any strong resistance from the locals, and it's a divided house in NFC so far. Over to you.
Divided house in New Friends Colony, Delhi locality, where the bulldozers have moved in. Many residents have been saying, what is the need to have these bulldozers when these encroachments can be done away with, as you can see on your screens right now, but some need to be brought down with bulldozers. The warnings have been given, Amit, at least that's not the allegation, because even we knew about it, didn't we? That this is a drive that's going to be carried out up until the 13th of May. Also some details of the localities. Prior warning was given, unlike the drama that played out at Mangolpuri, if you were to draw parallels, isn't it?
Absolutely right, Sneha. In fact, even in Shaheen Bagh, when the bulldozers rolled in yesterday on 9th of May, a similar drive was scheduled to happen in Shaheen Bagh on 5th of May, remember? And I had spoken to the locals there, the street vendors there, and the people who had also erected shops along with the roadside and were also using those shops to live and sustain their families. Now, on that day, on 5th of May, these people had told India Today that many of them had received oral notices and warnings from the South MCD officials, and they were clearly asked to, remove or relocate their street vendors from those particular localities. However, they were unable to do so. There could be n number of reasons for for not being able to do away with the street vendors or the shops, especially in the cases of shops which are also used by locals to live there. But clearly, unlike Jahangirpuri, there were notices being given out. There are warnings that has been given out by the South MCD officials. So those warnings have been already given out. So this time around, the locals cannot claim that the warning was not given out by the MCD officials. The civic body officials have done their job well in advance, even though it's a verbal warning, a oral warning that has been given out. But the warning was given by the officials, and there have been continuous talk about this anti-encroachment drive, that how and when these anti-encroachment drives would be carried out. Now, I would just ask my colleague to show you the visuals of the ground. Because of the anti-encroachment drive, you also see the traffic in this particular area is as of now congested, even though many of the people might have been asked to move or choose a different route to use, but on the ground, the anti-encroachment drive in NFC, the New Friends Colony locality, which is a mixed locality. Half of the locality is sort of a posh elite locality of the South Delhi, and the other side of NFC is a crowded, densely populated area. So you would have mixed opinion from the locals, from the people on the ground about this particular anti-encroachment drive that is being carried out by the civic body officials. And but unlike Jahangirpuri, as you rightly pointed out, that there were clear-cut warnings given out by the MCD officials, by the civic body officials in this particular case. So the locals cannot claim that they were not informed. Sir, आप यहीं के रहने वाले हैं? जो एमसीडी की कार्रवाई हो रही है, इस पे अपोजिशन पार्टी सवाल उठा रही है, आप यहाँ के रहने वाले हैं, आपकी क्या राय है?
कोई सवाल नहीं उठा रहे, अच्छा हो रहा, सफाई हो रही है।
सफाई हो रही है, इसकी जरूरत थी,
इसकी जरूरत थी।
आप कहाँ रहते हैं सर?
यही अपने घर
से रहते हैं। आप लोग कहाँ रहते हैं, क्या काम करते हैं?
मैं तो यहाँ ड्यूटी करने आता हूँ।
ड्यूटी करने आते हैं। आप यहीं रहते हैं?
हाँ जी।
क्या काम करते हैं आप?
भैया अपने दुकान है।
ये आप ही की दुकान है?
नहीं, ये तो मोची की थी।
तो ये जो ड्राइव चल रहा है, इसके बारे में क्या कहना है आपका?
सही है जी। अब देखो, ये कूड़ेदान भी यहाँ पे बहुत कूड़ा रहता है। अब आज देख के सफाई करिए, नहीं तो यहाँ तक रहता है बिल्कुल गंदगी।
अच्छा, कल शाहीन बाग में जो लोकल लोग हैं वो लोग विरोध प्रदर्शन में उतर गए थे, तो एनएफसी में इस तरह का विरोध नहीं होने वाला, आप कह रहे हैं?
अब जो गरीब है भैया, उनके लिए थोड़ी दिक्कत है, वैसे तो और सही है। वैसे
तो गरीबों की क्या आमदनी
देना? हाँ जी, उनको टाइम देना चाहिए, अच्छा तो लगाने के लिए कुछ ना कुछ तो होना चाहिए उनके लिए।
और जो विपक्षी पार्टी है, आम आदमी पार्टी, कांग्रेस, वो बीजेपी से सवाल उठा रही है कि 15 साल तक आप राज में थे, आपने पहले क्यों नहीं हटाया, आप क्यों कर?
सही है जी, पहले तो कुछ एक्शन नहीं लिया, अब बोल रहे हैं।
तो आपको लगता है राजनीति है इसके पीछे, या विपक्ष जो आरोप लगा रहा है वो गलत?
अब ये तो गलती है जी, गलती है।
So Sneha, as I told you, even those who support like him are concerned a bit about the people who are losing their livelihood because of the present anti-encroachment drive. And this used to be a cobbler's, a street vend that has been sort of demolished. And now, right on the other side of the road, the vehicles of the South MCD, the civic bodies continue to roll in further in the more populated areas where they might have to do a bit of more work on the ground. But two pictures, there are three pictures rather, Sneha. One of the Jahangirpuri, where you saw that locals were saying that no prior notice was given to them, and the MCD bulldozers kept on rolling in and raising down the encroachments in Jahangirpuri area despite the Supreme Court's stay order. Almost for 90 minutes the drive had kept on going despite the Supreme Court's order. Number two picture was of Shaheen Bagh yesterday, where you saw locals coming out in big numbers, large numbers, along with the political leaders such as Amanatullah Khan of the Aam Aadmi Party, and protesting and trying to block the bulldozers. And because of that, an FIR has been also registered against Amanatullah Khan and his supporters yesterday. And today, NFC, as the bulldozers roll in, there's no major resistance so far by the locals. Yes, there is divided opinion. Yes, there are people who are saying that we are losing our livelihood. There are people who are concerned about the earning opportunities of the poor. And on the other side, there are others who say that it is right, this is right that is being done. The civic body officials are doing it in right way, and they're actually doing away with the encroachments which was creating, a sort of inconvenience for the locals. So that is the situation on the ground. India Today is continuously showing you as to what is happening on the ground, as to how the civic bodies are carrying out the anti-encroachment drive in NFC, which is a neighborhood in the South Delhi.
Yes, be with us, Amit. We'll just come back to you for more on that. We're playing out a reaction also that is coming in. Let's listen in.
जी, हमने पुलिस ने पहले मीटिंग की है। हम काफ़ी देर से इसमें मीटिंग कर रहे हैं। हमारे SHO साहब हो गए, ACP साहब हो गए, एक हफ्ते से मीटिंग कर रहे हैं और लोगों को हमने अवेयर कर दिया कि ऐसा इंक्रोचमेंट ड्राइव होगी जिसमें आपको जो इलीगल आपने इंक्रोचमेंट की हुई है उसको हटाना है। तो हमने आपस में काफ़ी बातचीत की और समझाया, तो लोग समझ गए और लोगों ने हमारी बात मानी। ऑलमोस्ट 90% इंक्रोचमेंट जो है वो पहले ही रिमूव हो चुकी है, मतलब हटा लिए लोगों ने। लेकिन जो पक्के जो स्ट्रक्चर बने हुए हैं उनको JCB लगेगी और वो उस पर एक्शन करेगी।
स्थिति सर कंट्रोल में, पूरे इलाके की
स्थिति बिल्कुल कंट्रोल में। हमने फोर्स लगाई हुई है, एक्स्ट्रा फोर्स लगाई हुई है, जस्ट बिकॉज सिचुएशन ऐसी है। तो अदरवाइज स्थिति बिल्कुल कंट्रोल है, हमारी सारी बातचीत है, ऐसी कोई आशंका नहीं है।
लोकल लोगों से सर बातचीत एकदम चल रही, कोऑपरेशन है लोगों का?
बिल्कुल 100% कोऑपरेशन है लोकल लोगों का। कल भी हमने मीटिंग की थी, लास्ट एक फाइनल मीटिंग भी की थी, तो सबने काफी अपना अपना रिमूव कर लिया है। मेन जो कोई अगर है स्ट्रक्चर है तो उस पर भी जेसीबी कार्रवाई करेगी।
Cooperation from the residents there, the locals there. Amit, yesterday the police in fact had to carry tear gas shells also with them to ensure that things don't go out of hand. But there's a difference as far as today is concerned. It doesn't look like the residents are protesting much. Yes, there is some amount of unhappiness in the manner in which this is being done, but at least the people have not hit the streets in that fashion.
Absolutely right, Sneha, and that is what I was also telling you. You know, three pictures, Jahangirpuri, where you had no prior intimation given out by the MCD officials, the civic body officials, and the encroachment drive kept on carrying out despite the Supreme Court's stay order. The second picture of Shaheen Bagh, where you had aggressive resistance by the locals, including the local MLA Amanatullah Khan, and the locals, including women from the area. But today in NFC, the picture is completely different. The MCD vehicles, including the bulldozer, is rolling in further in the densely populated area of the NFC. And so far, there has been no clear-cut, you know, or massive protest or resistance against the MCD's drive. क्या नाम है आपका, कहाँ रहते हैं आप?
मंजीत कुमार मंडल। मंजीत कुमार
कहाँ रहते हैं?
एनएफसी में रहते हैं।
ये जो ड्राइव चल रहा है, इसके बारे में क्या कहना है आपको? जो हटाया जा रहा है, अतिक्रमण हटाया जा रहा है,
बहुत अच्छा हो रहा है।
अच्छा हो रहा है। सर, अतिक्रमण जिस तरह से आज हटाया जा रहा है, उस पर क्या राय है आप लोगों की?
ये गरीबों के लिए एक परेशानी का सबब बन रहा है। जो हम रेहड़ी पट्टी वाले लगाते हैं, इन गरीबों के लिए परेशानी का सबब बना हुआ है।
क्या काम करते हैं आप?
हम रेहड़ी पट्टी लगाते हैं।
किस चीज की रेहड़ी लगाते हैं? कपड़े की, इसी इलाके में। जी। तो इस
सरकार बनने से पहले उन्होंने कहा था कि रेहड़ी पट्टी वाले को कोई सहायता दिया जाएगा, लेकिन अभी तक कोई सहायता नहीं मिली है।
तो इससे जो ये एनक्रोचमेंट हटाने का काम कर रही है एमसीडी, इससे आपको नुकसान होने वाला?
नुकसान होने वाला है ही, लेकिन ये है कि रेहड़ी पट्टी वाले को भी एक साइड से जगह दी जाए जहाँ पे हो जाए, सही सुविधा मिले, उस चीज को किया जाए,
ताकि ये रोजमर्रा की जो एक्टिविटी है या डर है उससे निजात मिले।
जी, इसी चीज के लिए मैं कह रहा हूँ।
कल बहुत विरोध प्रदर्शन देखने को मिला था शाहीन बाग में। आज एनक्रोचमेंट हटाया जा रहा है, आप लोग को पहले से नोटिस दे दिया गया था, बता दिया गया था, या क्या वही कारण है कि यहाँ विरोध नहीं हो रहा है?
नहीं, इस चीज के बारे में नहीं बता सकता, इस चीज के बारे में नहीं है।
आप नहीं बात कर सकते। विल ट्राई टू ऑल्सो